After being so creative with the stylization of Scream 4 on the poster with 4M, a lot of us fans were kind of bummed when Scream 5 came out and they didn't do the logical 5 cream. I mean, even when they got to 6, they made Scream 6, Scream 6, I don't know. But Scream 5, also known as Scream from 2022. Why is it known as Scream? Because it's a requel, and because that's what movies were doing at the time. Anyway, this is the first Scream film without Wes Craven involved, and I believe without Wes or Kevin Williamson involved. So it's basically the two OG daddies of the series are not involved. What is involved is a new group of people. Some OG people are back. A pretty fun story, and overall a sequel I liked more than I thought I would when I went back. When I remembered this movie, I was like, I didn't like it that much. I watched it and I was like, pretty sweet. I'm Alex from Sandro Says, and I've been taking you through the Scream movies, and here we are with the 5th one. Scream 7 comes out next week, so we are barreling towards it, and I am almost through my rewatch of the series. So please leave a like on the video, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, and let's get into it. First, I'll go through the story real quick, just a quick overview of the movie itself. Spoilers if you haven't seen it before. The movie starts out with a phenomenal opening scare scene. On the phone, it's Jenna Ortega, known as Tara Carpenter. So basically, I'm not going to go into super details yet on all the scenes, but there's an opening scene with the girl getting attacked. She ends up in the hospital. Her sister, who she's estranged with, Melissa Barrera, who's known as Sam Carpenter in this movie, she's living in another town. She's dating the guy from The Boys, someone's son, Jack something. Jack Quaid. So basically, she's in another town, and she feels the need to come back to her sister, who was attacked. The sister has her own group of friends who kind of mirror the group of friends from the first movie. They're all kind of horror movie obsessed. They're all kind of just quippy and, whatever. It's very similar to the first movie. From that, Sam shows up to the hospital. She's introduced to all these new friends and meets them. Sees her sister, who's very beat up. From there, we go and we're reintroduced to Dewey. Dewey Riley is still around. He is retired from the force now, though. Dewey has been forcibly retired. Basically, I think, from what he says in the movie, they told him to retire, or they suggested it, or they were like, hey, we're done with you. So Dewey's still in the town as kind of a ghost, almost, or like a pariah or something in the town, living in a trailer. He's separated from Gail. Gail's off in New York doing a morning show. And the kids, Sam, she wants to solve what's going on to try to protect her sister. She wants Dewey's help. Dewey's unsure at first, but after a talking to with Sidney on the phone, he gets, I guess, the right, encouragement, and he goes forward with it. So Dewey's back in the fold. Sidney, I mentioned that name. Sidney Prescott is not really in this movie for a lot of it. She basically, halfway through, we don't see her at all. And then she gets called on the phone, and then after something happens later in the movie, she shows up, and she's in the last, 25 to 30 minutes. But it's strange. So anyway, Dewey shows up. We have a scene where all the kids are talking. They're discussing who the killer might be, what the motives might be, who might be suspects. They kind of piss off Sam because they say, well, you're the most likely person to be a killer because we all know each other. We're all friends. So she drives off, and at this point, they start really focusing on something that I hated in the movie, where Sam's dad is Billy Loomis from the first movie, and she has flashbacks to Billy Loomis. So we'll get more into that in a second. She's having flashbacks of Billy Loomis. The group is fighting. Meanwhile, one of the group members gets killed. It's actually Judy Hicks' son from the first movie. Or not from the first movie, excuse me, from Scream 4. Judy, who I loved. And Judy gets killed also. So it's a murder that causes a lot of worry in the town. Gail comes out of nowhere. Shortly after this, they all go to the hospital because they say, oh crap, the sister, Tara, is there alone and now is probably a target again. Sure enough, she is. But when they get there, poor Dewey meets his demise. And after that, they say, well, let's get out of town. Everyone's dying. All this is going wrong. Sidney finally shows up. Sidney and Gail are like, Ghostface killed Dewey. It's time we go kill Ghostface. Even though we've killed all the other Ghostfaces, let's do it again. Come on, sister, get the guns. Sam doesn't want to be a part of it. She tries to leave town with Richie and her sister. They get brought back to Amber's house because her sister needs her asthma inhaler, and she has one there, and she lost it for some reason. And then at that house, there's a party going on for some reason. Kids are celebrating, even though their friend was just murdered and a couple other murders just happened. But again, that happens in all these movies. They're like, hey, people got killed, let's party. I don't know if that's really how people react. But anyway, this ends up being the final scene of the movie. The climactic battle takes place here, and it's revealed that it's Stu Macher's house. So it's the scene of the climax from Scream 1 is now the scene of the climax for Scream 5. Why is this all happening? Who knows? There's mystery abound. We end up clearing out the party. Just the protagonists are there, or the main characters, I should say. Sydney and Gail are en route, but not there yet. And then there's a massive reveal of the killers, which we'll get into, and it's a really wild ending. So that's the movie itself. Now I'm going to go into the scenes and kind of talk about what I liked and what I didn't like about this particular entry. That first scene with Jenna Ortega, where she's on the phone and then she's turning on her security system on her phone and turning it off. The idea that they got into kind of phone cloning in this movie, but then didn't really explain a lot about how or why was strange. A lot of fingers and, attention is pointed to her friend Amber almost immediately, because Amber is someone that she's talking to, and it seems to be her. She knows what she's talking about, and then all of a sudden it's Ghostface. That's a little weird. But it's a great, terrifying scene. I personally think it's the best opening scene since the original movie. So that's pretty badass. She does not get killed, though. That's probably on purpose. I assume it's to lure Sam, her sister, back to town, because her sister has left town. So, badass opening scene, and I applaud them for trying something new here with the new people. This is a new cast entirely, basically, and like I said, they sprinkle Sydney in at the end. They have Dewey, but in general, they really try to introduce a new group here, and they kind of continue it for 2 movies. So this is the Carpenter sister duology, you can think of it. Screams 5 and 6. So then we meet her friends, Mindy. Something has always stuck out about this movie. All the characters are pretty realistic. Mindy is nonstop a caricature. She is just over the top. Seemingly everything she says is something that she rehearsed in her head ahead of time. Nothing seems natural. It all seems very performative and very like, this is a theater kid who got their time to say something in class. So we'll get more into that in a little while, but that's the first thing I think of when I see Mindy and whenever she kind of talks in these movies. Then I thought it was so weird when Sam shows up at the hospital to see Tara, and I might screw up their names in this movie because they're very similar names to me for some reason. Sam shows up to see her younger sister, and all the younger friends stand up at attention in this really creepy way. I think they all know her because she was their babysitter when she was younger, before she went off the deep end and took drugs and left town. But it's a really weird scene. I'm going to show it here, how they stand up at attention to see her. So that's bizarre. Amber, right off the bat, it's like, so your phone was cloned, but you don't seem too bothered by that. It's just kind of brushed off. What? There was really, that was an interesting thing to have in the beginning and not have it be a bigger plot point, in my opinion. The pointless bar antagonist, this guy who used to date basically there's 2 kids in this movie. They're twins. It's Mindy, who I mentioned already, and then Chad. They are Randy Meeks from the first and second movie. They're his nephew and niece. Woohoo! We needed a connection, I guess. And he's dating this girl, and apparently she dated some, bar-dwelling loser for a bit, and now he's showing up at high school to leer at her and then following her around. So I mean, they insert this random antagonist just so that there's someone else to pad the body count, because it's a cool kill. I'll give him that at the bar or at the pool hall or whatever when he gets killed outside. It's pretty sweet, but it's really tertiary to the plot. And then they reveal he dated Stu Macher's, or he did. I might have skipped the scene. They said he did something, and it was probably something nefarious to someone related to Stu. So that was horrible. I didn't write down what it was. I watched this a couple nights ago. But either way, speaking of Stu, this was the first movie of the 5 and 6 that I said, I think they're going to bring back Matthew Lillard in this movie in some capacity. And I was clearly wrong in 5 and 6, and in 7, they're advertising it, they're putting it right on their sleeve, they're bringing Matthew Lillard back. So what I didn't expect, or didn't really like, or didn't know what to do with, was in this movie, they brought back Skeet Ulrich's Billy Loomis, and they brought him back as a ghost, phantasm thought, or a memory from Sam, but she didn't know him. She never met him. She just read about him in a diary. And it's not like they had a lot of exposés about Billy. Like, he got killed the first night he would have become famous. So it's not like there's a lot of interviews or footage of him talking and stuff. Plus, she imagines him in the bloody outfit from the night of the first Scream, but before he started, getting stabbed by Stu, which means it's not like some forensics photograph that she saw of what he looked like. It's like a photograph from earlier in the night. So the whole thing is bizarre. I know they wanted to, again, connect it to like, oh, this is something, this is a cool connection to the first movie. I don't know if they needed to do that. Like, I get that the plot is that the requel, they needed to bring some characters and tie it to the first movie. So the villains in this movie wanted Sam there because her dad was Billy. It's a little contrived. Like, the rest of the movie's good, but once you start looking at this, it gets a little silly and a little... Like, we've had some wild stuff already in the Scream movies. This one's out there. So, I'll say that much. There's family drama of like, well, I never told you that I'm the reason mom and dad broke up because mom cheated on dad in high school. It's like dropped like a grenade in the middle of nowhere. These two girls, now you have this one girl who's in the hospital bed crying, and it's just, what does this have to do with Scream? Is this going to forward the plot at all, or is this just padding the movie? It felt like a Gale and Dewey scene, except not quite as bad. But again, it was like a scene that just kind of pads the movie with this excessive crap that doesn't matter. So, I do think Dewey was a phenomenal character in this movie. I think he was written really well. He was brilliant in the way that he immediately calls out Richie like, hey, how long you known this guy? Did he ask about this? Did he ask about that? Who is he? Do you really know him? Like, he calls him boom. So he's smart, and he also seems like a more realistic Laurie Strode. Like, he's isolated, he's still in the town, he's not completely insane, but he looks through everything of the prism of who are you, what's your connection, what's your benefit from this, or why would you want to kill someone? So Dewey, he's evolved from being a complete goof to an amazing, not elderly, but an amazing veteran of a horror movie. And it's sad that they decide to kill him later in this movie. It doesn't really feel... It feels earned because eventually people with this plot armor, like Dewey, Sid, and Gale, someone should probably die. But, the way you do it matters too. So we'll get into that. It's a couple scenes away. Anyway, it's a really smart group of kids. The way they're talking about things, the way they're discussing who might be the killer, who has, motives and stuff. I do appreciate most of them being written. When Mindy starts her stand-up scene and she's pointing and she's dancing and she's doing all this stuff and waving, and it seems so rehearsed. No one ever has talked like that off the cuff. No one has ever come up with a 5-minute monologue referencing movies perfectly and not saying, oh crap, what's that one or what I'm thinking of. It's all way too perfect and way too and her face, she's making these crazy faces during it. So that scene sticks out to me in this movie. I hate it. I do like Dewey at the end, where when Sam gets called out, that she might be the killer, Dewey's like, oh, I don't know, I'm just here to help. I don't know what the hell anything's talking about. So, again, I think Sam knowing anything about Billy, his personality, anything like that is ridiculous. For all she knows, he was Stu's assistant. I guess these movies have been these events have been written about ad nauseum, and then they had film movies about them. But for all she knows, that's bullshit. So I don't know. The Judy and Wes scene was pretty amazing. Messing with Judy on the phone. Then she can't call her son because her son's in the shower and he can't get the phone. The misdirect at the beginning with the door being open, but it was actually just Wes. And then Judy gets back and you think she's going to come inside to a murdered body, and she gets killed before she can even get inside the building. And then Wes is killed right after. It's really well done. It's a good misdirect. It's broad daylight. It's just like the first movie where someone's in terror, someone's in danger and doesn't realize it. I really think that that's probably one of the standout moments from this movie. And sad, because I love Judy Hicks. I think that she is a phenomenal character, and she was really acted well in these two movies. So, it is obvious, I think, why they would have killed Wes, also, while we're on the subject, because he didn't really seem like a suspect. So, just throwing that out there. Richie, watching the YouTube videos on his own, dissecting the movies, does, again, throw such a like a misdirect of like him ever potentially being the killer, because he's not doing that in front of someone. He's doing that on his own. Now, I guess if you were into the movies, you'd be watching it, but it just seems so natural. Like, oh, hey, I was watching Netflix I was watching the movies. Now I'm watching this. So this stuff's all kind of, all kind of interesting to me. How Richie is, he's such a under the radar killer, whereas Amber, right from the get go, and there's a couple scenes. There's a scene at the party where she goes in the basement for the beer, and Mindy follows her, where she seems particularly evil, or like she could be the killer. But Richie, whew, under the radar the entire time, which is awesome. So, Dewey and Gale, they have their big emotional return right after Judy's killed. And it's like, again, it's another emotional scene. And this one feels so heavy because it's like them forgiving themselves for how things went. And I wish things went differently. It really feels like, oh crap, Dewey's about to die. Because Gale just showed up. It wouldn't have been likely for her to show up and then get killed in the next scene, like, just like that. And I don't think they have the balls to kill off Courtney Cox or Nev Campbell, at least quite yet. So, whereas David Arquette's probably more, he's more expendable at this point in the franchise. So, I really like Tara being a little badass, escaping her room and hopping into a wheelchair. There's a power outage or something. She sees deaths. She's kind of hiding like in a newer version of Halloween 2, like a Laurie Strode. She's not at her full capacity. She can't really defend herself, but she's doing her best to stay alive. So I really, this is this is Jenna Ortega at I didn't see Wednesday, and all I've seen lately are those horrible memes with her and the other lady from I forget what movie they were in recently, but I really liked her in this. She was amazing. I think both these movies, she did a great job. As did her sister, or the person who played her sister, but Jenna's really the standout. So even in a weakened state, I don't know how Dewey could possibly be subdued by Amber. Amber, I didn't look it up. I'm going to look it up and probably put it in the video right here, how tall the actress is. I can't imagine that she's more than like 5'5". Probably shorter than that. When you see her standing next to Jack Quaid later, she comes up to his shoulder. It's just, again, when you're stabbing someone, I can't imagine it's easy. I don't think it's like just putting a knife through a piece of paper. Like, you got to have some strength to do that and not have the person just smack the knife away from you and, do it and take, and hurt you. So there needs to be some believability. I know we want to have varied killers and surprises, but it was realistic in the first movie where it was two 18-year-old males that were doing this. It's realistic when it's a Mickey doing things. It's not as realistic when you have someone like Amber, or like the girl in the last movie, I forget, Jill. It's like these 5'1", 110-pound females just beating. Even if it was a 5'1", 110-pound male, it would be the same. It doesn't make sense. So for Dewey to die like that, it was just like, come on, man, really? Dewey would have been better than that. He wouldn't have been distracted by his phone with, Gale calling at the time. So Gale ended up being responsible for his death in a weird way. It was unsettling. So I do like Sidney and Gale deciding, hey, all right, let's pick up some guns, let's go rogue, let's find this son of a bitch. I think that's pretty cool. It's a little weird that Sidney shows up at that point in the movie, and it's like, okay, now she's a central character. We haven't seen her for this entire thing, but now Sidney's going to be a central character to this. I know that she has all that clout from earlier in the franchise, but let this be someone else's movie. It had the potential to be someone else's movie and do that just fine. Now, I want Sidney in all the movies, but if you're not going to have her be the central focus anyway, like her showing up as far as Amber and Richie and their plan was concerned, it really seems tertiary. They seem like they wanted to kill Dewey or have Dewey involved, or Gale at the most, to tie it back to the original movies for their requel. But it doesn't seem like they really planned to have Sidney show up, so that's just... It's weird how that was done. It wasn't like the last movies where they forced her out, So, Sam sucks. I don't know why she thinks running would solve anything here. When Ghostface is coming after you specifically, or your sister specifically, it's not like Ghostface is an entity tied to Woodsboro. This isn't Nightmare on Elm Street, where, if you escape the town, oh, well, crap, Freddy Krueger can't track you. If you leave Crystal Lake, theoretically, Jason doesn't follow you. There's no rule. Ghostface would just say, oh, damn it, they've left town. And where are they going to go? They have nothing. So the whole thing was just, I didn't understand that idea where she's like, well, we got nothing else to do, let's run. Like, I mean, you can go to the cops and just like hang out at a police station, like I don't know, move in. I don't know, do something besides just run. So the inhaler bullshit. It's like, really, this is the plot point we're going with. It couldn't have been something cooler than an inhaler. And by the way, I don't have a prescription for an inhaler. It's like, if you go to a pharmacy and they call the doctor, they can see you have one. They might give you just one with a couple puffs in it. You can go to a walk-in clinic. The idea that like, oh, I own my inhaler, we have to cancel our trip. True, it seems simple to just go to someone's house that's on the way. But if you're that scared for your life, do you really want to risk that? However, I will really give credit again. Richie's played here, the way that they concocted this scheme, like Richie being like, no, I don't want to drive there, are you nuts? When in reality, he does want to drive there. They do a good job of masking him and of making him, both to the audience and to the people in the movie, realistic of like, he wouldn't be a suspect. So I think that's pretty cool. I think they did a great job with that. The Chad attack was great. I like how earlier in the movie he was begging his girlfriend to turn on this thing, so clearly the killer heard him talking about that with her. They turn it on. Then there's the classic scene of him like stumbling and the killer comes out to attack him, or Ghostface comes out from like the shed. Top notch. I didn't like how both him and Mindy were attacked and survived. It seems like too many people gain plot armor, and we'll see that in the next movie. Like, they just continue to survive. I don't know if that's how these movies need to be. Like, you need to make these killers mean something. The only one out of that main friend group that dies, there's Wes that gets killed earlier in the movie, and then Chad's girlfriend who gets shot in the head, and it's just, that's probably the next scene, I think. I love the jarring nature of, oh my god, boom, this is totally different the way we're doing this here. But then she has to turn to the camera and say, welcome to Act 3. It's like, So we go from there. The ending is very chaotic with the running around the house, the whodunit. Gail and Sydney show up after realizing that it's Stu Macher's house, which it's like, oh my god, why are things back at that house? Well, Amber's family bought that house, and she's been obsessed with it from the get-go. Well, again, wouldn't that immediately, even before they got to the house, tell them that it's Amber? Like, could have called the cops, like, hey, this girl's doing all this stuff. Anyway, so the final scenes are great. Richie's reveal is great because, again, you don't see it coming. He is still kind of hiding and getting injured and, disappearing at innocuous times. Like when he goes to get beer, he asks Mindy, like, hey, do you want to come with me? Not, I'm going to go alone. So he does all the right stuff to not be considered the killer, and then his reveal is great. And then as soon as he's revealed, he has a maniacal Joker smile on his face the entire time. He is terrifying. It's like, he really does seem like a crazy fan who could have taken things way too far. And he's the standout killer from the two. Amber is more of a generic, like, smile, but she's evil underneath. Whereas this guy has layers to his craziness, which is perfect. Especially because he infiltrated someone's life for like 6 months just to do this. Like, that's crazy. And it shows that, like, the dedication some of these people have, how crazy they are. So, I think it's a great final battle. The way that Amber gets covered in the alcohol and then lit on fire and then shot and then comes back to life. The way that Richie gets stabbed like 1,000,000 times is ridiculous. It really does show that Sam has some of that Billy Loomis energy in her. But I just have to say that Richie reveal is probably one of the best reveals in the series. Overall, the Amber aspect as a Ghostface, meh. Richie, top. I mean, as far as like, Billy and Stu, Jill and Richie are probably in the second tier for me. And that's saying a lot, because as much as when I thought back about this movie, I associated it so much with certain scenes I didn't like or certain aspects I didn't like the ghost Billy Loomis. But there's a lot here to love, and I think that's pretty awesome. It's a brand new production company. It's a brand new company that owns it. The Weinsteins, through them being weirdo dicks, they lost the rights to Scream. So this was the first movie in like 11 years. And it did awesome. It did really well in the theaters. It caused a sequel to come out like within a year or 2 years. I saw both of these in the theaters, and I'm going to see Scream 7 next week. It's been a great revival for the franchise. So, what did you think? Did you enjoy the movie? How much did you like it? I rated it out of 10. Just kidding. So, Let me know in the comments, and I will be back later this week, or early next week. I haven't decided the schedule yet, but I'm going to do my Scream 6 review and then a Scream 7 spoiler-free preview. So, please subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and I will see you then. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.